our cherished viewers, and welcome to the program. As I promised, we have another 1/8 final contest between Opoku Ware Secondary and Koforidua Secondary Technical School. The winner of today's contest will meet Prempeh College at the quarter-finals. Let's now meet our contestants. We have Opoku Ware to my right, represented by
Oscar, SS3. Upon Victor Bano, SS3.
Binford, SS3.
The gentleman from Koforidua Sectech are to my left. Please introduce yourselves.
Emmanuel Waribuatin, SS3.
Ebelohini Akwe, SS3.
Zitun Penny, SS3.
Without much ado, we'll take the first round. You have 15 seconds to give me an answer. Your question, Opoku Ware Secondary, hydrathodes and nectaries are examples of what? Yes, Victor.
Glands.
Oscar, yes?
Glands.
What type of glands? Be specific. What type of glands? Oh, I'll give you the mark. Plant glands. Koforidua Sectech. The grana of chloroplasts are made up of disc-like stacks of membranes. The grana of chloroplasts are made up of disc-like stacks of membranes. What are these membranes called? Kwesi.
Thylakoids.
Again?
Thylakoids.
That's correct. Opoku Ware School, what is meant by nuclear chain reaction? What is meant by nuclear chain reaction? Yes, Victor.
Nuclear chain reaction is a type of reaction in which neutrons are produced, which continue to make the reaction go on. And
Please, you've been bailed out. For a bonus, Koforidua Sectech. Yes, Emmanuel.
It's a self-sustaining reaction in which the fast-moving neutrons, on bombarding the nuclear fuel, is able to generate neutrons that are 2.5 faster than the initial to sustain, which continue the process.
For a bonus, I won't give you them. I didn't give them anything because they didn't talk about nuclear substances at all. And then you mentioned nuclear, and yet the idea wasn't coming. Nuclear chain reaction is a succession of nuclear fission, or you could say it's a series of nuclear transformations initiated by a single nuclear fission. Your major question, Koforidua, what is a P-type semiconductor? Yes, Abel.
It's a type of semiconductor in which the majority carriers are holes.
That is correct. Opoku Ware Secondary, define enthalpy of fusion. Yes, Obing.
That is the amount of energy required to convert.
Yes.
It is the amount of energy required to change 1 mole of a solid into 1 mole of liquid at standard temperature and pressure.
2 out of 3. Not standard temperature and pressure. It is the amount of energy needed to change a certain mass of solid to a liquid at its melting point and at fixed pressure. Koforidua, your question. State the effect of impurity on melting point of solids. Only one attempt. Yes, Emmanuel.
It decreases the melting point.
It decreases the melting point. Opoku Ware Secondary, find the determinant of the given matrix. A equals 4253. Yes, Obeng?
2.
2 is correct. Koforidua, find the determinant of the given matrix. B equals -2, 1, -4, -. Yes, Abel?
10.
10 is correct. Opoku Ware, by what method can one show that the carbon-carbon single bond is longer than the carbon-carbon double bond? Yes, Victor?
X-ray diffraction.
That's one. That's one. I'll give you the mark. The other is spectroscopic method. Koforidua, your question. What are the similarities and differences between a carbon-carbon double bond and a carbon-oxygen double bond? Similarities and differences. Yes, Abel.
The similarities, they both have pi and sigma bonds. And with the differences, the oxygen is more electronegative than the carbon. And as such, there's a partial charge on the oxygen.
2 out of 3. What is the function of the micronucleus found in paramecium and other ciliates? Yes, Victor.
It is used in sexual reproduction.
That is correct. Koforidua sectec, what is the function of the nucleolus of a eukaryotic cell? Abel.
It produces ribosomes.
That is correct. Ware secondary, for projectile motion in general, which of the following is constant? For projectile motion in general, which of the following is constant? A, horizontal velocity, B, horizontal position, C, direction of the velocity, D, angular velocity. Only one attempt. Yes, Obeng?
Horizontal velocity.
That is correct. Koforidua sectec, consider separately, 1, the motion of a projectile from the ground to the point where the vertical velocity becomes 0, and 2, the motion from that point to the ground. Which of the following will be different for the 2 cases? A, time duration of travel, B, distance traveled, C, acceleration, D, velocity vector. Yes, Abel?
The distance traveled.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. It's the velocity vector. Your question, Opoku Ware secondary. I'm sure Abel thought it was too easy an answer to give. Opoku Ware, in what modulo arithmetic is 9 plus 7 equals 5? In what modulo arithmetic is 9 plus 7 equals 5? Oscar?
11.
11 is correct. Koforidua sectec, in what modulo arithmetic is 23 minus 7 equals 7? Yes, Abel, and 9 is correct. That brings us to the end of round 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It looks like what? The boss looks
That is where the Ghana Education Trust Fund steps in, so that these children can have access to basic facilities and enjoy the learning experience. Gradually, one by one, we are removing the barriers in the way of quality basic education. We will continue, so they too can continue. Get Fund. We invest in tomorrow's leaders.
At the end of the first round, here are the scores. Koforidua sectec, 20 points. Opoku Ware secondary, 20 points. Now round 2. As usual, you have 15 seconds, except for questions that involve calculation. Then you'll have 30 seconds. Your question, Koforidua sectec. A father and his little son go to swing on a seesaw. Who should sit nearer to the fulcrum, that is the pivot, and why? Only one attempt. Who should sit nearer to the fulcrum, and why? Yes, Abel.
The father is supposed to sit closer to the fulcrum. This is because taking the mass and the distance, the for equilibrium to take place, the force here or the weight here is supposed to be equal to the weight here. Or the moment here is supposed to be equal to the moment at the other side. Therefore, taking the mass of the father, which is greater, taking the distance into consideration, you realize that it's supposed to be closer to the fork.
And that is correct. Opoku Ware Secondary, your question. A man and his 5-year-old son pull on opposite ends of a rope in a tug of war. Who exerts a greater force on the rope? Neglect the mass of the rope and explain your answer. Only one attempt. Yes, Victor.
No one exerts a greater force on the rope. This is because the tension in the rope is 0.
This is because the tension is what?
This is because the resultant force is 0. No one.
2 out of 3. This is because the tension in the rope is the same along the entire rope, including the ends. It's not that the tension is 0. It is the same along the entire rope. Koforidua Sectech, your question. What would you use gram stain for in the laboratory? Gram stain, what will you use it for? Yes, Abel.
Testing whether the bacteria is positive or negative. That is gram positive or gram negative.
That is correct. Opoku Ware Secondary, what type of plant material is used for auxin and tropism experiments on shoots? Yes, Obin.
Coleoptile.
Coleoptiles. Koforidua Sectech. I like to avoid confusion these days, so please, only one attempt. Come to a consensus and give me an answer. Name the metals which are traditionally referred to as coinage metals. Metals which are traditionally referred to as coinage metals. Yes, Kwesi.
Gold, silver, and copper.
That is correct. Opoku Ware, the same applies to you. In the periodic table, there are 6 elements whose symbols start with capital R. In the periodic table, there are 6 elements whose symbols start with capital R. Name any 3 and give their corresponding symbols. Any 3, please agree, because I don't want one here, one there, a wrong one there. 3. Yes, Oscar.
RB for rubidium, RA for radium, and RN for radium.
And R what?
N for radium.
Radon. That is correct. So he mentioned radium, radon, and rubidium. We also have rhenium, Re, rhodium, Rh, and ruthenium, Ru. Your question, Koforidua Sectech. The total surface area of a cube is 600 centimeters squared. Find the volume of the cube. Yes, Abel.
1,000 meter cube.
1,000. Opoku Ware. The perimeter of a cube is 60 centimeters. Find the total surface area of the cube. Yes, Oscar.
150 centimeters square.
That is correct. Koforidua Sectech. Give one method by which HCl can be prepared in the chemistry laboratory. How can it be prepared in the chemistry lab? Yes, Abel.
By reacting sodium hydroxide with calcium chloride. Or
For a bonus, Opoku, Ware. Victor.
By reacting sodium chloride and sulfuric acid.
That is correct. That is one way, reacting sulfuric acid with NaCl to get NaHSO4 and HCl. Or you could react to get NaHSO4 and HCl. Or you could you could mix PCl3 and water. It will give you the H3PO3 and HCl. The simplest is hydrogen plus chlorine, but that is not recommended. Opoku, Ware, your question. Give one method for the preparation of H2 gas in the laboratory. Yes, Oscar.
By the reaction of zinc with HCl.
I'll give you the math. Right, let's go on. Your question, Koforidua Sectec. A barrel of water is 80% full. If 40% of the water is emptied, what percentage of the barrel is now filled with water? Yes, Kwesi.
60%.
That's not true. Yes, Abel.
80%.
You have one last chance. Yes, Emmanuel.
40%.
For a bonus of Opoku, Ware Secondary. Yes, Oscar.
32%.
No. The answer is 48%. Now your question. Opoku, Ware. A number is trebled and the new number is decreased by half the original number. The resulting number is 100. Find the original number. Yes, Victor.
20.
Not true. Yes, Obing. 40 is correct. Your question, Koforidua Sectec. Which requires more work? 1, the lifting of a 50 Newton crate through 10 meters, or 2, the lifting of a 50 kilogram crate through 5 meters. Explain. Yes, Abel.
The lifting of the 50 kilogram through 5 meters.
Explain.
Because the force there will be 500 newtons times the 5, which is the meter, so which giving us 2,500. But for the first one, the force is 15 newtons and the distance is 10, giving us 500.
That is correct. Opoku, Ware Secondary. An engineer needs a 10 ohm resistor, but there are only 30 ohm resistors in stock. How can he obtain 10 ohms from the 30 ohm resistors? Obeying.
You have to win three of the 30 ohm resistors in parallel.
That is correct. Koforidua Sectec, how is the sternum of the bird adapted for flight? Yes, Kwesi.
They possess key.
And what about the queue? Yes, Abel.
It possesses a key which is hollow and makes them light. And also attachment of muzzle.
I'll give you the mic. So the keel provides a large surface area for the attachment of flight muzzles. So, Opoku, Ware, your question. In the thorax and abdomen of a bird are large air sacs. These, however, are not used for gaseous exchange. Give me 2 major functions of these air sacs. Yes, Victor.
It reduces the density of the body, of the bird, so that it can fly or be airborne. And also, it enables the bird to absorb enough oxygen during flight That is,
Hey, for a bonus, Koforidua sector. Yes, Abel.
The air sacs make the bed lighter so that it can be able to fly for long distances. And also,
For a bonus, don't even go there. We want the function of the air sacs. The air sacs communicate with the interior of some bones, thus making those bones light and adapting them for flight. And then the evaporation of moisture from these air sacs helps to cool the bed since it has no sweat glands. Viewers, that brings us to the end of round 2.
As I start my day, I know they are counting on me. I am a truck driver for the Ghana Education Trust Fund. My job is to supply books to schools across the country. Whenever I see the school kids, my mind goes back to my school days. I too had hopes and dreams that sadly never came to pass. I made a firm promise to myself that if I couldn't chase my dreams, I would make sure that others could. Seeing these happy kids simply warms my heart. It's happening every day, and I'm proud to be part of Get Fund. Get Fund, we invest in tomorrow's leaders.
At the end of the second round, here are the scores. Koforidua Sectec has 38 points. Opoku Ware Secondary has 41 points. So our friends from Opoku Ware have taken a lead. Let's see for how long they can maintain that as we move on to round 3. In this round, we pose the same problem to the contestants to be solved in 3 minutes. Contestants, please turn over your sheets. I'll read the problem. An electric motor rotating a grinding wheel at a rate of 300 over pi revolutions per minute is switched off. Assuming a constant deceleration of 2 radians per second squared, find the number of radians through which the wheel must turn before it comes to a stop. That, viewers, is the problem of the day.
Girl, my dream was to become a doctor. I always wanted to help the sick. Now I'm in the dental school together with others who had similar dreams. The support from the Ghana Education Trust Fund has made things a lot better. Their support has helped provide new equipment, teaching aids, improved facilities, and our student loan. We're studying hard, and we know that we can continue to count on support from Get Fund to turn our dreams into reality.
You're welcome back. Our contestants will now go to the boards to present their solutions. Thank you, contestants, for your solutions. I'll now go through what I have. We said the initial angular velocity omega naught equals 300 over pi revolutions per minute. But 1 revolution equals 2 pi radians and 1 minute equals 60 seconds. Therefore, omega naught equals 300 over pi revolutions per minute times 2 pi radians over 1 revolution times 1 over 60 seconds. And that equals 10 radians per second. The final angular velocity omega is 0 because the wheel comes to a stop. The angular acceleration alpha has been given as -2 radians per second squared, because we were told that there's a constant deceleration. So angular acceleration becomes -2 radians per second squared. Now, using omega equals omega naught plus alpha t, we find t to be omega minus omega naught over alpha, that's 0 minus 10 over -2. And that should give you 5 seconds. Now, the angular displacement theta through which the wheel must turn is given by theta equals half omega naught plus omega t, or theta equals omega naught t plus half alpha t squared, or theta equals omega squared minus omega naught squared all over 2 alpha. That is using the equation omega squared equals omega naught squared plus 2 alpha theta. Now we use the simplest formula. So using the simplest formula, we have theta equals half times 10 plus 0 times 5. That's half times 10 times 5, and that should give you 25 radians. Let's now look at the solution from Opoku Ware Secondary. Opoku Ware found the initial angular velocity to be 10 radians per second. They didn't bother about finding the time that it takes to it takes the wheel to stop, because they used another one of the formulae that does not involve time. They use the equation omega squared equals omega naught, or final angular velocity squared equals initial angular velocity squared plus 2 alpha theta. Now, when they use that, they got, so they said omega f squared equals omega naught squared plus 2 alpha theta. Using that equation, omega naught squared should be equal to -2 alpha theta. And then alpha is -2. So when you multiply the two negatives, you get a positive. But you'll notice that they put the omega naught squared equals 2 alpha theta. And they also didn't put a negative sign in front of the deceleration. So it was just by luck that they ended up with the final answer as us, because the arithmetic there, when you use that formula, omega naught squared should be -2 alpha theta. And you use -2, and you end up with a positive answer. So for those little hitches, I decided to take 1 mark, and I give them 9 out of 10. Now, let's look at the solution from Koforidua Sectech. Koforidua did as our consultant did. They found the initial angular velocity. Then they went ahead to find the time, which was 5 seconds. So if you found the initial angular velocity and you found time, to find displacement, just get an equation that uses velocity and time and find your displacement. But when you look at that solution on the board, they started working backwards to find angular velocity again. Why they did that? It beats me. So they get 6 out of 10. Let's go on to round 4. You're not new to the program. You have 30 seconds as usual. 15 seconds for questions that don't involve calculation. Your question, Opoku Ware. If log to base a of x plus 2 log base to base a of y equals 3, Find a relation between a, x, and y not involving logarithms. Yes, Victor.
SY squared is equal to 3.
Yes, Sobin.
SY squared equal to A cube.
That is correct. Koforidua sectec. If 2 log to base c of A minus 3 log to base c of B equals 1, find a relation between A, B, C not involving logarithms. Abel.
A squared over B cube equals C.
That is correct. Opoku Ware Secondary. A certain radio station broadcasts on a wavelength of 500 meters. What is the ratio of its carrier frequency to an audio signal of 10,000 hertz? Velocity of radio waves 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. Ratio, Victor.
20:1.
It's not true. Yes, Obing.
60:1.
60 is to 1. Koforidua sectec. A carrier frequency is 50 times the audio signal frequency. What is the carrier frequency in kilohertz required to ensure transmission of the third harmonic of a musical instrument sounding a tone of 3,000 hertz? Abel.
50 kilohertz.
It's not true. Yes, Abel.
2.5 kilohertz.
You have one last chance. For a bonus, Opoku Ware. Yes, Oscar.
450 kilohertz.
It's 450. Opoku Ware Secondary, your question. 2 identical cylinders, A and B, are filled with gases of molar masses 45 and X grams respectively, such that the pressures and temperatures of the 2 cylinders are the same. If it takes the gases in A and B 30 and 20 seconds respectively to diffuse over the same distance, calculate the molar mass X of the gas in B. Victor.
20 grams per mole.
20 grams. Koforidua sectec, your question. It takes a gas of molar mass 64 grams, 48 seconds to escape from a flask. Calculate how long it will take helium gas at the same pressure and temperature to escape from the same flask. Molar mass of helium gas is 4. Abel.
1,536 seconds.
Hey. Yes, Emmanuel.
16 seconds.
No. Last chance. Last chance. Yes, Abel.
2 seconds.
No. For a bonus, Oscar.
12 seconds.
12 seconds. Fill in the blanks in the following statements. Thoracic vertebrae can be identified by their long blank, which provide attachment for the muscles of the blank. Order. Yes, Victor.
Neural spine and the muscles of the
ribs or the thoracic cavity?
I'll give you the mark. Thoracic vertebrae can be identified by their long neural spines, which provide attachment for the muscles of the thorax or the head and neck. Koforidua sectec. Fill in the blanks in the following statement. Lumbar vertebrae can be identified by their long blank, which provide attachment for the muscles of the blank. Yes, Kwesi.
They can be identified by their long transverse process, which provide attachment for the abdominal muscles.
Just the abdominal muscles.
Stomach muscles.
I'll give you the mark. Lumbar vertebrae can be identified by their long transverse processes, which provide attachment for the muscles of the back and abdomen. Your question, Opoku Ware secondary. The embryos of reptiles and birds are surrounded by 4 membranes. Name all 4. Yes, Oscar?
The allantois, the yolk sac, the amnion, and the chorion.
That is correct. Koforidua sectec. The eggs of a toad are surrounded by a layer of jelly. Give me 3 functions of this layer. Yes, Kwesi?
To protect it from mechanical injury, that is, for it to stay long within the fertilization, and then to prevent desiccation, heat loss, and then bacterial attack.
Are you done?
And then make it buoyant.
Kwesi, you only said one thing. 1 out of 3. So you talked about protection. It protects the eggs from drying, bacterial infection, and mechanical injury. That's all one. It keeps the eggs together and enables them to float. Its unpleasant taste and slippery nature prevents the eggs from being eaten by predators, and it prevents overcrowding of the eggs. Your question, Opoku Ware secondary. A 10-gram sample of thorium has a half-life of 24 days. How long will it take for 7.5 grams to disintegrate? Yes, Victor.
72 days.
Watch it. Yes, Obin. 48 days is correct. Koforidua. A substance A with half-life 1 hour disintegrates into substance B with half-life 1 hour, which in turn disintegrates into a stable substance C. If we start with 1 kilogram of substance A, what will be the combined mass of B and C at the end of 2 hours? Yes, Kwesi.
0.75.
It's 0.75 kilograms. Opoku Ware, your question. The image of a point A, XY, under a translation by the vector 10I minus 5J is 1010. Evaluate X and Y.
X is 0 and Y is 15.
That is correct. Koforidua sectec. Find the image of the point A, negative 7, 5, under a translation by the vector 5I minus 8J. Yes, Kwesi.
Minus 12, minus 3.
Emmanuel.
Minus 213.
Last chance, Abel. Yes, Abel.
-2, -3.
That is correct. It's -2, -3. Opoku Ware. calculate the amount in moles of NaOH in 6 dm cubed of a 0.24 mole per dm cubed solution. Yes, Oscar.
1.44 moles.
It's correct. 1.44. Koforidua Sectec, calculate the moles of a compound present in 750 cm cubed of its 0.048 mole per dm cubed solution. Yes, Emmanuel.
2.25 moles.
Oh, Emmanuel. I thought, yes, Kwesi. Oh, your last chance. Yes, Abel.
3.6 times 10 to the power negative 3.
For a bonus, Opoku Ware. Yes, Victor.
0.036 moles.
It's 0.0. And that brings us to the end of round 4.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Get Fund. We invest in tomorrow's leaders.
At the end of round 4, here are the scores. Koforidua Secondary Technical has 57 points. Opoku Ware Secondary has 77 points. Viewers, that is quite a gap. Will our friends from Koforidua be able to catch up? Let's find out as we move on to round 5. For the first part, you have 10 seconds to say whether your statement is true or false. Remember, we deduct a mark from your score for each incorrect answer you give in this part of round 5. Koforidua Sectec, your question. Parasympathetic stimulation results in the dilation of the pupils of the eyes. Yes, Kwesi.
It's false.
That is correct. That is false. Opoku Ware Secondary, nicotine and nicotinamide are the same substances. Yes, Victor.
False.
That is correct. Koforidua Sectec, the set of all people in the world is a finite set. Yes, Abel.
It's true.
That is correct. That is true. Opoku Ware Secondary, materials used to slow down neutrons in a nuclear reactor are called moderators. Yes, Victor.
True.
That is correct. Koforidua Sectec, nicotine has a tertiary amine functional group. Yes, Abel.
It's true.
That is correct. That is true. Opoku Ware Secondary, parasympathetic stimulation causes dilation of the bronchioles. Obeng?
False.
That is correct. That is false. Koforidua, the electric field inside a charged hollow sphere of copper is 0. Yes, Kwesi.
It's true.
That is correct. That is true. Opoku Ware Secondary, the set of natural numbers is equal to the set of integers. Victor.
False.
That is correct. Koforidua Sectec, the number 753 is divisible by 9. 753 is divisible by 9. Abel.
False.
That is correct. Opoku Ware, in order to determine the motion of a body, it is necessary to know all the forces acting on the body as well as all the forces exerted by the body. Victor.
False.
That is correct. Koforidua sectek, the queen bee has larger wings than the drone. Yes, Kwesi?
It's false.
That is correct. That is false. Opoku Ware, the number 7416 is divisible by 8. 7,416 is divisible by 8. Yes, Victor?
True.
That is correct. That is true. Koforidua sectek, during corrosion of iron, the metallic ion is oxidized in one step to give iron 3 ions. Kwesi?
It's false.
That is correct. That is correct. Kwesi was so sure his friends were saying otherwise. I like your boldness. Opoku Ware Secondary. The head of a caterpillar has 6 simple eyes. Yes, Victor?
True.
That is correct. That is true. Koforidua, forces can be exerted on a system in such a way that linear momentum is conserved, but angular momentum is not conserved. Abel?
It's true.
That is correct. That is true. Opoku Ware Secondary, during corrosion of iron, water is reduced to hydroxide ions. Yes, Victor?
True.
And that is correct. Well, that was a good first part of round 5. Let's find out what happens at the second part of round 5. I'll be reading the clues to 4 riddles. Both schools would want to be the first to solve the riddle. When they are ready with their solutions, they call my attention by ringing the bells in front of them. Let's check your bell, Opoku Ware Secondary. Let's check your bell, Koforidua sectek. All the best to both schools. I'll take the first riddle. I am a natural product. Indeed, I am a naturally occurring organometallic compound. You can say I have a lot in common with cytochrome, since an essential part of me is a porphyrin. Opoku Ware first? Yes.
Hemoglobin.
No. Yes, Kwesi?
Iron.
No. Let me finish with the clues. Chemically, I am a catalyst. I specifically help to transform carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates. I give plant leaves their characteristic green color. Who am I? Anybody in the audience? Who am I? Yes, there's a hand up, and it's chlorophyll. Let's take the second riddle. I am a 4-digit number belonging to the 21st century. My first 2 digits are repeated for my last 2 digits. The sum of my digits... Hey, Abel,
2020.
Wow, that's correct. Well, Koforidua sector gets 4 points for that. Let's take the third riddle. My siblings and I are a set of triplets. I come into play whenever two objects interact. I insist that forces that come into play during the interaction always occur in matched pairs. These paired forces act in opposite directions. Abel. Oh, Kwesi.
Equilibrium.
No. Did you ring your bell? Let's go on. Their magnitudes are, however, the same. You still do not know who I am? Well, my siblings and I are laws enacted by the same scientific lawyer. Who am I? Who am I? Oscar.
Newton's third law of motion.
That is correct. And now the final riddle. I am an essential nutrient of mammals required in small quantities. I was first detected in 1879 and my structure determined in 1935. I am essential for carbohydrate metabolism. I can be obtained from vegetables, yeast, milk, and liver. I form part of a complex group of nutrients named after an alphabet. My deficiency causes inflammation of the tongue and sores on the lips and mouth. Who am I? Who am I? Yes, Victor?
Vitamin C.
No. Do you want to try that, Koforidua sector? Abel?
Vitamin E.
No. Anybody from the audience? It's vitamin B2 or riboflavin. That, viewers, brings us to the end of the contest. At the end of the contest, here are the scores. Koforidua Secondary Technical has 77 points, Opoku Ware Secondary School 96 points. Thank you, Koforidua Sectech. It's a shame we need just one winner for this game. We'll see you next year. Congratulations, Opoku Ware Secondary. We'll see you at the quarterfinals. Thank you for your company, viewers. We'll come your way again next week with another 1/8 final contest between Archbishop Porter Girls Secondary and T.I. Ahmadiyya Secondary. Bye for now.